Hey everybody, tonight we're debating whether or not dinosaurs lived with man, and we are starting right now. With NephilimFree's opening statement arguing the affirmative, NephilimFree, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. So, to refute the evidence that dinosaurs coexisted with man, my opponent must provide empirical evidence that there's a gap in time between dinosaurs and man. This evidence must be testable, else he would be appealing to an idea, not testable evidence, or show that mankind's historical depictions and legends of dinosaurs or other creatures and not dinosaurs, and show that the fossil footprints of dinosaurs and humans in the same geological strata are not dinosaurs or not humans or both. My opponent will be unable to accomplish these. So this is what the 19th century scientists believed iguanodon looked like on the left. Today, with modern science, we know that that's what on the right is what iguanodon actually looked like. So what I'm pointing to is
Heads
the
up, Neff,
idea.
just to let you know that we
Yep.
can't see your screen if you're sharing something.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
So if you go down to that
Okay.
green button on the bottom of the window, that'll usually kick it into gear.
Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, so on the left you see a 19th century depiction, according to the best science, of what iguanodon looked like. 20th century depiction on the right, based on modern science. The reason I'm showing you this is because to dispel the idea that ancient people could have looked at dinosaurs' fossils and then depicted correctly, known what dinosaurs looked like. The reason I'm telling you that is because ancient man depicted accurately real dinosaurs. They didn't even do it like the 19th century scientists did. They did it far better than that. And that means they had to have seen the creatures, not seen the fossils in the dirt. See, here's a 19th century depiction of Megalosaurus. And on the 20th century technology, we know what it looked like on the right. Megalosaurus, here's another. This is an ancient depiction of a dinosaur. We see the crest under the neck has a wattle. Okay, ancient man couldn't have known that unless he had seen it. That's soft tissue. It's never been preserved in a fossil. But modern scientists predict because of the other features of the dinosaur, it likely had a wattle, even though the fossil doesn't show that. But yet, ancient men depicted wattles. This is a depiction of this depiction of an Edmontosaurus standing upright in a threatening position. Now, the reason the ancient men were able to depict this creature is because they had actually seen it. They probably walked upon the creature. It stood up on its back legs to impress the men that, hey, I'm big and bad. You don't want to mess with me. And like a black bear does when it's threatened. And they couldn't have known that unless they'd seen the creature with their own eyes. Here's an ancient Chinese depiction of a Protoceratops. It looks remarkably like a real Protoceratops. This one as well, Saurolophus, okay, has the crest, has the textured skin, only discovered in the 2010s. The dinosaurs had patterned skin and the crest. This is from Ontario, Canada. This is from Israel. A dinosaur is attacking a horse, biting it at the base of its neck, causing it to go down to its front knees because the pain is intense. He's disabling the animal. Another dinosaur onlooks and says, hey, I want a bite of that. Looks really good. What animal is that size that can bite a horse at the base of its neck? And don't real animals bite animals at vulnerable points, like in the throat, the base of the neck? This animal is doing that. That's a dinosaur. This is a temple built in Cambodia about 1100 AD. It has a stegosaurus on its side. These are two sauropod dinosaurs with intertwined neck. This is from ancient Egypt. Let's take a look at what a dinosaur might look like. Here's a cartoon of a dinosaur. Would anybody look at this and say, oh, that's not a dinosaur? Even a 3-year-old would say, yeah, look at the cartoon of the dinosaur. Well, look at this. Now let's superimpose that cartoon of a dinosaur on a rock. It still looks like a dinosaur, Now let's take away the superimposition and leave what the ancient Americans, Native Americans drew. It's a sauropod dinosaur. See, here's the cartoon. We know it's a sauropod dinosaur. Here's a sauropod dinosaur imposed on the rock. Still a sauropod dinosaur. Let's take away the superimposition, and we still have a sauropod dinosaur. Evolutionists deny this is actually a sauropod dinosaur carved by ancient men, but it surely is. Another ancient Babylonian depiction of sauropod dinosaurs with crested skulls. We even know what species that is, Lusotitan. Here's another Lusotitan, also from Babylonia. From ancient Greece, no, Palestine, I'm sorry. The Greek there reads crocodile lizard, and there are men there. Obviously, this creature lying in the middle of a river weighs tons. Here's a medieval art. You can see the baby dinosaur on the right. We called them dragons then. Here's another one from the Middle Ages. This is allegedly 6 million year old human footprints discovered in Crete. They say it raises problems for evolutionists. The evolutionists can't admit it because it looks like, see, they test the rock and stuff and come up with 6 million years old. They're obviously human footprints. The scientists will say that this on the right, on the left, is a human footprint. But what you see on the right is a human footprint found in the Paluxy riverbed in Texas. In that same strata were sauropod, three-toed dinosaur footprints crossing the human footprints in the same strata. And the evolutionists will say, those are not real human footprints. Well, look at that. Is that a human footprint or what? But they'll say the one on the left is a human footprint. But they'll say the one on the right is not, simply because there are three-toed dinosaur footprints in the same strata as those human footprints, and that means man lived with dinosaurs. Isn't it funny? They'll admit that what you see on the left, is a human footprint, but on the right, oh, that can't be a human footprint. Why? Well, because in the same strata are three-toed dinosaur footprints, and man couldn't have lived with dinosaurs. See, this is how the mind of an evolutionist works. It's called denial. This is Paluxy Riverbed in Glen Rose, Texas. In the 1970s, they excavated rock layers, and they found 2 layers of dinosaur footprints with human footprints. There they are. And these are the footprints I just showed you a photograph of. This one. And they'll admit the one on the left is a human footprint, allegedly 6 million years old, which contradicts evolution theory, by the way. Now they're scratching their heads. But they'll say the one on the right, no, that can't be a human footprint, even though it's a far better print than the one on the left. Why? Because it's in the Paluxy River bed, and it's the same strata in which they find dinosaur footprints, which they'll admit the dinosaur footprints are real dinosaur footprints, but they'll say, no, that's not a human footprint. And the one on the left is. But they'll say the one on the right is not. Why? Because it was found in Glen Rose, Texas, along with actual dinosaur footprints. And no evolutionist scientist denies those are really dinosaur footprints. But they'll deny those are human footprints. Let me show you that again. I want you to understand the denial of evolutionists. The footprint on the right was found in Glen Rose, Texas, in the very same strata in which dinosaurs actually walked. That means the humans and dinosaurs walked on the same strata, in the same mud, which solidified, concreted into rock. They'll say the picture on the left is a human footprint that's 6 million years old, which contradicts their theory and makes them scratch their heads. What's going on here? Man didn't live 6 million years ago. But they'll deny the one on the right, which is a real human footprint, far better impression than the one on the left, can't be a human footprint for no other reason than it was found here with dinosaur footprints that they don't deny are really dinosaur footprints. What's that tell you? That tells you somebody's paradigm is taking over their mind, and they're not willing to be honest about the evidence because they're stuck believing a paradigm and can't accept the scientific modern evidence that dinosaurs coexisted with man. This is all I have for my slideshow. I could show you far more. My slideshow is not working correct because I changed a script file, but I have lots more I could show you. I'll just conclude with this. Man has depicted accurate depictions of several different species of dinosaurs throughout human history. And there's legends of humans coexisting with dinosaurs. They call them dragons or whatnot in various languages around the world. This would not be true unless man actually coexisted with these monsters and actually combated them. They've had fights with them. They killed them. They ran from them. The legends go on and on and on. The evolutionist wants you to believe that these are fantastical fantasy creatures instead of real creatures that humans believed in. I mean, observed and actually encountered, that they're just myths. But they can't be myths because they're global. It's irrational to believe that all the various tribes of man living in various continents would come up with the same fantastical stories that man happened to live with these beasts that happen to fit the very depictions that they put in art, in rock, for countless centuries going back into the past, that accurately depict several different species of known dinosaur. Accurately. The conclusion is man lived with dinosaurs and they went extinct during the history of mankind. That's the evidence. Okay. Now, anybody who denies this powerful evidence, and I've only shown you a sliver of it, is doing so not because of the evidence, but because they're driven to believe that evolution is true and deep time is true. I'll say this about deep time. Deep time, the idea that the earth is millions of years old and life squiggled up out of the mud, came from Babylonia. It's a Babylonian myth. And the ancient Greeks and Indians, Hindu, got it from the Babylonians. And this is an ancient myth that mud produces flies and frogs and stuff. And life spawns life is a product, ancient Greeks said, life is a product of earth, wind, and fire. The three of them produce organisms.
20 seconds.
This is abiogenesis. Today they call the same idea abiogenesis. Science hasn't advanced at all. It's not science. It's a crazy myth that mud soup comes alive and makes dinosaurs. Anyway, the evidence that man coexisted with dinosaurs is beyond overwhelming. I've only shown you a tiny sliver of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, NephilimFree, for that opening statement. And now, let me tell you, folks, about some up-and-coming juicy stuff. In particular, you'll see on the far right, you could say bottom right of your screen. If you have never been to Modern Day Debate before, want to let you know we are a neutral channel hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And we are excited to have you here no matter what walk of life you are from, whether you be Christian, atheist, agnostic, you name it, folks. We're glad you're here, and also want to let you know, and also as I introduced Atheist Jr., want to give a huge thank you to Atheist Jr. for jumping into today's debate. As originally, you'll see on the bottom right of your screen, we've postponed it. Kent Hovind will be here taking on Dr. Stern Cardinal. That's going to be an epic one on whether or not Noah's Ark could have worked. However, that's postponed to later this month, and so I want to say thanks so much, Atheist Jr., for stepping in last minute, as tonight's debate was somewhat impromptu, but want to let you know we are pumped for that upcoming debate, and so hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that way you don't miss out on that juicy debate coming up. So Atheist Jr., thanks for being with us. We're very grateful to have you. The floor is all yours.
Okay, how's my audio, James?
It's still a little bit, I would say maybe if you could turn it up a bit.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to speak up. Is that is that better?
It's a little better. Maybe a bit more. Even moving closer to your mic can work.
Yeah. How's better. That, James?
That's definitely better.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, James, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you to NephilimFree for being here. Before I get into my opening statement proper, I need to get some preliminary definitions out of the way. Taxonomists group humans into the class of Mammalia, and using those same methods, they group dinosaurs into the class Aves, or birds. So to answer the question of have dinosaurs ever lived alongside modern humans, the answer is a resounding yes. However, I get the feeling that NephilimFree does not accept the idea that birds are dinosaurs. So I think he's thinking more T-Rex, Velociraptor, Spinosaurus, and other Cretaceous theropod dinos. Basically, it was in Jurassic Park. That's what he's talking about. So no, those dinosaurs have never lived alongside modern Homo sapiens sapiens since they died out during the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event about 66 million years ago, when an asteroid estimated to be between 6 and 10 miles in diameter slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, this impact was so violent that it's estimated that about 20 seconds after it hit, it created an impact crater 18 miles deep into Earth's crust. And this kicked up a ton of debris which traveled around the Earth's atmosphere at several kilometers per second, forming the KT boundary layer all around Earth. This massive dust cloud devastated both animal and plant life on Earth, choking the air and blocking out the sun. And the reason that I mention all this is because this is what proves that these dinosaurs went extinct long before modern humans walked the Earth. Geologists can prove that this KT layer is real, a layer of iridium that is worldwide, and it has concentrations 10 to 30 times higher than anywhere else in the geologic record of what you would expect to see. However, there is zero scientific evidence that Cretaceous dinosaurs ever lived alongside modern humans. Paleontologists have never discovered bones of humans in the same layers as these dinos, as cool as that would be. We've never even seen ape fossils in the same layers. We've never seen a fresh dinosaur carcass or seen a live specimen captured that didn't turn out to be a hoax or a rotting basking shark. So the formation of geologic layers matches up to different eras of time going back into the past of our planet for millions and millions of years. This lets us study the fossilized creatures that lived on Earth in chronological order. At the top of the Cretaceous layer in the geologic column, like right above it, is this distinct KT boundary. And it's not until you go 5 layers up to what's called the Pliocene, where we see the fossilized skulls of modern humans. All verifiable evidence from geology, paleontology, radiometric dating, chemistry, taphonomy, and paleoanthropology says that dinosaurs did not live alongside humans. There are no human fossils or artifacts found with dinosaurs, and there are no dinosaur fossils found with human fossils, except birds, which descended from dinosaurs, out of place human traces, such as the Paluxy footprints, do not withstand examination. So enough. Furthermore, there is approximately a 64 million year gap in the fossil record where there are neither dinosaurs nor human fossils. So if humans and dinosaurs coexisted, traces of the two should be found in the same time places and in the same layers. So at the very least, there shouldn't be such a dramatic separation between them. But instead of saying my evidence is against this claim, what is the evidence creationist claim is evidence that dinosaurs did live with humans? Well, one example that Neff mentioned is the fossilized dinosaur footprints found in Glen Rose, Texas. Now, the way that the original dino prints were shaped with 3 large toe prints, some of them would erode to where the detail of the toes were lost, and what you ended up with was what looked like a human sandal or moccasin print. And these alleged human footprints involved a number of misidentified and spurious phenomena. Most of the supposed man tracks in the riverbed are forms of elongate metatarsal dinosaur tracks made by dinosaurs at times that impressed the metatarsi as they walked. And when the digit impressions of these tracks are subdued by mud collapse, erosion, infilling, or a combination of these things, like I said, they start to superficially resemble human footprints. And when you properly have the tracks to look at, they don't look like this. And there was also multiple, it happened in the 20s and then later, people producing fake human footprints in Glen Rose and selling them, where you would have a plaster cast and you would have a dinosaur footprint, and then on top of that, you'd have a big Fred Flintstone footprint. And so these were obvious fakes. Some of the human prints are erosional features or other natural irregularities. Like I said, they don't show clear human features without selective highlighting. And also they don't occur in natural striding sequences like these for these to be human footprints, these people would have to be 9 or 10 feet long. Like the stride between the footprints, the distance is way too long for them to be human. Like the creationists are just looking at the actual print and seeing that it sort of resembles a human print. But when you look at the prints in succession, there's no way that a human could have done this unless he was sort of like jumping in between his steps. So, I'm going to skip ahead to dinosaur soft tissue. So another favorite argument is misrepresenting the research of Mary Schweitzer and presenting it as dinosaur soft tissue or even blood, when this is totally inaccurate. And Schweitzer used to be a young Earth creationist, but working in the lab day in and day out, this led her to be unable to deny the truth of deep time and the fact that dinosaurs and humans did not live together. So she has repeatedly expressed her irritation with young Earth creationists who misrepresent her research and present it as evidence of something that is basically the exact opposite of what it means. So in 2003, the femur of a T-Rex was sent to Mary for dissection and analysis. And after applying acid to remove some unimportant minerals, she observed what looked like blood cells, blood vessels, and animal proteins that were degraded, but looked similar to what would be found in fresh bones. So this presented 3 options. 1, the fossil might be young. 2, the soft tissue could just be a biofilm. And 3, there might be a previously unknown preservation process. Now, this fossil was found in the Cretaceous layer, which at its youngest means it's about 66 million years old. So we can sort of rule out the first option. Now, there was papers going back and forth about the biofilm, but I want to focus on what Mary's conclusion was, which was option number 3. Because while iron is safe and highly useful inside hemoglobin, loose iron particles can wreak havoc on our cells. In a process called cross-linking, iron can trigger a series of reactions, eventually causing proteins and other cellular structures to unravel and fuse together in a tangled, useless mess. And in a living brain, cross-linking can cause dementia. And Mary Schweitzer immediately realized, after randomly going to a lecture about issues that degrade the brain, that in dead tissue, cross-linking can cause preservation. So she had long known that leather is produced by applying chemicals to hides that cross-link their proteins, and cross-linked proteins are extremely durable, and bacteria can no longer eat them and degrade them. So after watching this presentation about the degradation of brains, she immediately re-examined her specimens, and she saw that each sample was loaded with tiny iron particles. So she examined this possible scenario. When a large animal dies and blood begins to decompose, iron is released from hemoglobin. As it seeps out into tissues and bones in high concentration, it initiates cross-linking. And soft tissues are most affected, and they're preserved like leather. Tissues that are cross-linked and protected safely inside the hard bone could potentially survive for millions of years. So this story seemed reasonable, but Mary Schweitzer, being a good scientist, wanted to test her hypothesis. So she came up with an experiment where she had 2 sort of sets of beakers, where she had some blood vessels in just regular water, and then she had blood vessels in water with iron, the same iron particles. The vessels in water turned to mush in just 3 days, but after 2 years, those soaked in iron-rich blood cells were still completely intact, with no signs of degradation. Now, she's still doing the experiment 6 years later, and the results are the same. And of course, 2 to 6 years is far from 68 million. Projections suggest that the process might work for millions of years, but we don't know if iron is still enough. That said, her experiment is definitely a good start, and it's a great example of how science is, how the scientific method is used. And what's interesting is to get her to do her experiment, she needed an animal that was a good analog for the T-Rex. And the animal she chose was an ostrich. So that's just more example that birds are dinosaurs. And I'm just going to end it there.
You got it. Thank you very much, Atheist Junior. And I think we're having a little bit of lag on my side, folks, so bear with us if it's a little bit laggy. But do want to let you know, folks, I am going to put, just if in case you were here last night, we tried something out where you could submit your super chat through the crowdfund that we are doing right now. And so I'm going to put that link into the live chat right now, and I want you to let me know if the super chat link is working. Basically, you can buy it as a perk through the crowdfund. And folks, I don't know if you know, but we are 100% thrilled that as of right now, we have made it to over 100% of our original goal, as you can see on the far right side of your screen. And we are now striving for our reach goal. So we are almost there for the reach goal as well, which is honestly super awesome, you guys. I am so pumped. As folks, if you haven't heard, if you have been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears, tomorrow is going to be one of the biggest, baddest main event debates we have ever hosted. Dr. Kenny Rhodes, Christian and scholar, will be here debating Matt Dillahunty. You don't want to miss it, folks. And that crowdfund, in order to make that event happen, is still open. So if you want to help us reach that stretch goal, highly encourage you to do that at the link I'm about to throw in chat. And so with that, thank you very much, NephilimFree and Atheist Junior. The floor is all yours for open conversation.
So I would respond to a couple of things that you said. First, you said that with the right light, they look like human footprints. I think that's preposterous. They clearly are human. You say they don't have a natural stride, the 9 feet, but the creationist says that when man got off the ark, he was 9 feet tall. That's exactly according to the Bible and according to genetic entropy and the fossil record showing that organisms have gotten much smaller over time. Then humans, being an organism, would have gotten smaller too. And so right off the flood, you would have had man getting off the ark, and they would have all been 9 feet, maybe 12.
Okay, so where in the fossil record? Where in the fossil record does it show 9 foot tall humans?
Well, the Glen Rose, Texas footprints. You say where? I show Glen Rose.
Where are the skeletons?
We don't have to have a skeleton. We have a human footprint. Now, you said also that soft tissue, is Mary Schweitzer. Do you know other scientists, numerous ones now, have verified that soft tissue actually does exist in these specimens. And the problem is that the vesicles, the blood vesicles that some of these are found in, the astrocytes, are so small that blood of enough quantity to bring enough iron would be an enormous amount of iron to get enough blood, to get enough iron in there to preserve it. So iron can't be the explanation because you can't get enough. These ossicles have blood vessels in them that are so minute that a single blood cell at a time can fit through there. That's it. So you can't get enough iron to be trapped in there to preserve it. That doesn't work. You said also.
Last point, and then we're going to kick it over to Atheist Junior.
Sure. You said the jigsaw, thing with the KT boundary proves, the deep time thing. But let me ask you this: if the flood of Noah actually occurred, and if the iridium that was inside that is a layer inside the earth, like many layers of strata on the earth, if that iridium was inside the earth and it came out during a period of time, a moment in time, as the waters were erupting from the earth as the flood and covered the continents, it could also create that very same iridium layer that you say was produced by an asteroid. So there's a creationist explanation for it that's very sound. So
we'll give him a chance to respond. I also want to mention, Atheist Junior, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but your camera is no longer showing you.
Yeah, I turned off my camera to try and help with the lag. I hope that's okay.
Gotcha. Since there's a lag, we'll let it fly this time.
Okay. Okay. So I counted the soft tissue, the iron, and then talking about the flood. Was there an argument you made before that, Neff, that I was supposed to respond to also? Or should I just
you said that the human footprints look remarkably human when the right light is applied to them. And being a
No,
professional
I said,
photographer trained by the New York Institute of Photography, I'm going to call that one bunk.
I don't think that I said that. I said that.
Well, that is what you
when-
said. You said they begin to look superficially like human footprints.
Neff, let's give him a chance to respond.
Yeah, no, I said when you're looking at the proper, when you're doing an analysis where you see the full footprints where they're not eroded.
No. That's not what you said.
The top part of the footprint isn't eroded.
No, what you said was when you apply the right light to them in the angle of view, that they appear to superficially look like human footprints. I call that erroneous. You can trust my deposition on that or not, but I'll just tell you this: I'm trained by the New York Institute of Photography. I know what things look like really good. And I'm telling you, they're human footprints. The idea that they begin to look like human footprints because of the light and camera angle, it doesn't work. I'm sorry.
Okay, I found in my opening statement what I said. I'm just going to read it again. Okay, so when well cleaned, such tracks show definite indications of tridactyl dinosaurian digit patterns. Some of the reputed human prints are erosional features or other natural irregularities. They do not show clear human features without selective highlighting, nor do they occur in natural striding sequences. Now, when it comes to the dinosaur soft tissue in Mary Schweitzer, she literally found the iron particles in looking at the samples under a microscope. So I'm not sure what you're saying, that because the blood vesicles are small, that means that there couldn't be iron particles. She found
No,
the iron
there couldn't be iron particles. I said that iron couldn't have been deposited there in enough quantity to preserve it. And there's actually been a scientific study by evolutionists that say that iron can preserve blood vesicles no more than about 200 years, because that's the maximum. That's the maximum amount of iron that can be brought into it.
Iron is highly present.
To a secular study that was produced just a few years ago. So even the secular camp is arguing against the secular camp on that one. They say 200 years maximum.
Iron is plentiful inside blood. It's found in hemoglobin.
But the quantity necessary to preserve all that soft tissue. So I'll just say this: the scientific community, run mostly by evolutionists, don't argue that it's actually soft tissue. They have to try to find a way to salvage their uniformitarianism by claiming that soft tissue is preserved by iron. But the problem is that the blood vessels that lead to these ossicles, you might want to look that term up, are so small that only a single, maybe two blood cells at a time can flow through them. At that rate, you're not going to get enough iron deposited to preserve it. And a scientific study produced by evolutionists themselves says the maximum from evidence from ostrich bones is that the maximum time that these things can be preserved by iron is 200 years. So you've got evolutionists on one side saying 200 years max. That's it. We're not hundreds of thousands, not millions of years. These guys say 200 years. And then the guys that say, no, the evidence for the creationists can't be true because it could happen for millions of years. There's a contradiction there. So your own camp is fighting itself on this thing because they don't want to accept the evidence. So
but this is a T-Rex femur. Okay, this is a huge animal. And her hypothesis was that when a large animal dies and the blood begins to decompose, iron is released from the hemoglobin and it seeps out into the tissues and bones in high concentration. And this is what initiates the cross-linking. And the issue is not, whether it's a lot of soft tissue or even if it's soft tissue or not. The issue is whether or not this is an old specimen. If this T-Rex is old, 66 million years or older, or if it could fit into a young Earth creationist time frame, which it cannot. And the fact that it's from the Cretaceous layer proves this, because the Cretaceous layer they can date those layers using radiometric dating, which gives you absolute dates. Plus,
Well,
you have the KT boundary.
Here's the problem with your Cretaceous idea. You said in your statement that birds evolved after dinosaurs. This is the common belief that's been put forth for 150 years by the ancient scientific belief of evolutionists. But modern scientists have discovered that idea is false. Modern birds of numerous different types coexisted with dinosaurs. So that idea is bunk. Let me give you names
That's
of
not
some.
Exactly true.
Well, it's exactly
you're
true.
Gonna quote from Band?
No.
You're gonna quote from Band?
No, I'm going to share screen with you right now and show you what I'm talking about.
Can I respond to what you just said?
Sure, but let me show you the evidence first, if you don't mind. So you're wrong about that. What you see below is the name of the study. There it is, right there. Okay, and this is what they discovered. These fully modern species of birds are now known to have coexisted with dinosaurs because they've been dug out of the same strata in which dinosaurs have been found. Flamingos, sand grouse, loon, mousebird, simiera, hummingbird, wren, deer killer, ibis, obscene, songbirds, bellbird, grebe, cuckoo roller, pigeon, egret, parrot, owl, penguin, duck, loon, albatross, cormorant, sandpiper, and avocet, all found in the very same strata as dinosaurs. So that means your ancient idea that dinosaurs did not coexist with birds, modern birds, that they evolved from birds, is bunk, because all these different species of completely modern birds have been found in the same strata with dinosaurs. That means in the Cretaceous. That means they coexisted. So that means your idea that birds evolved after dinosaurs from small theropod dinosaurs is bunk. And here's a scientific study that questions it. They say right here, bird dinosaur theory of evolution challenged. Was it the other way around? This is from Science Daily, highly secular evolutionist website. Most of their articles are written by evolutionist PhDs. So they're scratching their heads. You guys are scratching your heads trying to put your evolution theory together against modern science. Now, what you need to do is to be able to debunk the depictions in ancient man's knowledge of dinosaurs. If these creatures weren't dinosaurs, what in the world were they that man depicted in his art so much? What kind of creature would they be?
I'm going to respond to what you were saying about the birds. I never really claimed that dinosaurs and birds couldn't have coexisted at the same time.
In
fact, hold on. You get to a certain point when, I would say that birds evolved from theropod feathered dinosaurs, and it gets to a certain point in the fossil record or the evolution of dinosaurs where you start to be able to not tell which is the theropod feathered dinosaur and which is a bird. And right around that time is Archaeopteryx.
That doesn't change anything.
It does.
The truth is that numerous modern types of birds have been found in the same strata with dinosaurs. And it's now known that these fully modern birds, well, that kills the evolutionists millions of years, because you believe that they evolved millions of years after. That's what you guys have been telling us for 100. You said if we played back your opening statement, you said that the birds came after the dinosaurs. That's what
they evolved after. They evolved after theropod feathered dinosaurs.
That's right.
It was a transition.
Theropod dinosaurs, but that's not true. We know
I didn't say it was millions of years later.
They coexisted. We know that today.
Right. I agree.
So your idea is false. It's been overturned by modern science. They coexisted.
I know.
Didn't evolve. They didn't come into being after dinosaurs became largely or completely extinct. They coexisted with hadrosaurs and triceratops.
Birds are dinosaurs.
Okay, Doesn't
birds
matter.
are dinosaurs.
Well, you
Yes,
can
it does.
say no. You can say that all you want to. I'm just pointing out the evolutionists have been telling us 150 years that dinosaurs went extinct before birds existed because birds didn't exist until 60 million years later. But that's not true. Now we know they coexisted, and that also means that the depictions of humans making art of real, known, observable species of dinosaurs is also true because they also coexisted. What rebuttal could you possibly have to that?
Well, I would say that if some evolutionary scientists claim something about when the evolution of birds happened that was later found to be wrong, and they corrected their data, then that's just a scientific method in action, and that's a good thing. I'm glad that they fixed their mistake. Creationists should try that once in a while.
So evolution is never falsifiable because they can stretch it like a rubber band any which way and just adopt the idea. So if birds, modern birds, coexisted with dinosaurs, and they didn't, then what is the reason for believing they evolved from dinosaurs?
Modern birds are dinosaurs.
So when did modern birds come into existence after dinosaurs became extinct, like they told us in the 1960s, or not?
But forget modern birds. Birds are dinosaurs. Birds evolved from feathered theropod dinosaurs. It was a smooth transition from feathered
we don't
theropod,
have a fossil record
two-legged,
that shows.
Yes, we do.
We don't have a fossil record that shows smooth transition for anything.
Yeah, we do. We have Archaeopteryx, and Darwin predicted that a fossil would be found of a bird-like or animal with unfused wing fingers. 2 years after he made that prediction, they found Archaeopteryx. Slam dunk, boom. Okay, evolution proven.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The world's most famous ornithologist, who's Alan Fiducia, says.
I told you were going to quote.
Please let me finish. Archaeopteryx is completely a bird. It's a perching bird, a unique species maybe, but it's a bird. So
yeah, it's also a dinosaur.
I showed you evidence from evolutionists that many completely modern species of birds like owls and flamingos and et cetera, coexisted with dinosaurs in the Cretaceous. So if you're going to say they evolved later, you got to show us this fossil record that they evolved later, because nobody's got that for anything, much less birds. So the idea that you guys have been pushing for 150 or 70 years now, that birds evolved after dinosaurs, is not true. Modern birds of numerous types coexisted in the Cretaceous with various species of dinosaurs. So if you're going to say they evolved from dinosaurs, you've got to be able to show when. And guess what, pal? There is no scientific evidence for that. No fossil evidence of that. Nothing. Now,
no evidence.
You can believe what you want to believe, but you can't show any scientific evidence for this idea that the birds evolved later. But you haven't debunked any of the science. You have zero argument against the historical evidence that man coexisted with dinosaurs, because you depicted dinosaurs across the world having coexisted with him. All you can do is say, well, that's not really a dinosaur, like you can say, that's not really a human footprint because of the lighting and camera angle. That's all you
Okay, got. I have a question. Why is it that they found cave paintings that show cave paintings in France of horses that show incredible, beautiful detail, but your supposed dinosaur drawings look like a 3-year-old drew them?
They do. I think I proved in my opening statement that that's not true.
Well, dinosaurs don't balance on their tails. They don't bounce around on their tails like a kangaroo in a cartoon. Yeah, you did.
No, I showed a picture of a dinosaur that stood upright to make itself, look ostentatious. And
but it was balancing on its tail.
Right, and that's a behavior that even modern evolutionists would agree would be had by numerous different species of dinosaurs.
Just like evidence of that?
Just like black bears that stand up on their 2 feet to make themselves look fearful. And gorillas do the same thing. They stand on 2 feet, run at you and pound their chest because they want to make you look fearsome. But they normally walk around on 4 feet. on, knuckle walkers, until they get threatened. Then they stand up on 2 feet and run at you and pound their chest. See,
That's not what I said. I
I'm
said
just
the
pointing out its
dinosaur is
behavior.
balancing on its tail.
There's no reason it couldn't have. Are you saying there's?
But they don't do. Yes, it would, because it would have broken the bones in its tail.
It
That's
would
not
have?
how. That's not how dinosaurs.
Can you explain why we should believe that?
Because we've never
Why?
seen any dinosaur body plan that shows that they could do that. A Tyrannosaurus
We
Rex
don't.
walks around with its tail erect
Really?
and up in the air for balance. It doesn't sit down and sit on its tail with its tail bent. We've never seen that.
Okay, so maybe you're not familiar with the countless dinosaur fossils that show dinosaurs with their heads slung all the way back to their pelvis and their tails flung up way over their heads. Are you telling me that the tail of most dinosaurs was so laxed flexion so much that it was unable to curl upwards over its back like the tail of a collie when he gets aggressive? Are you kidding me? What's your evidence for that?
Well, you're describing the death position of a dinosaur. I'm talking about how they would have walked
You're just
around
spouting
and used their
ideas.
tails.
You're not telling anything scientific.
Okay, I have evidence of that because they've done experiments where they take a I think it's like a chicken, and they sort of attach something weighted on its backside that represents a tail, and they observe that the chicken starts walking around just like a Tyrannosaurus Rex would, in the same position, using the tail to balance out the body weight.
Okay, so how does that prove that their tail would break?
It doesn't sit on its new tail.
How does that prove that the tail would break if the animal stood up on 2 feet? You're not giving anything
because can you bring up that picture?
I could, I guess. But you're not giving me. You're just telling me your ideas. You're just denialist ideas. You're not giving me any scientific reason to believe that the tail lacks so much flexion. Dinosaurs had some stiff tail that was so stiff, while all the other animals of the world have tails with remarkable flexion. But dinosaurs, no, it couldn't have been true because their tail is so stiff. This is just an idea in your head. It's nothing scientific to believe about that. That's ridiculous. Okay, you're just making up ideas to fit as an argument. That's all you're doing, is inventing things.
Hold on. All right, Neff, let's. He asked to see that picture. Let's see this juicy picture.
Okay, sure. Let me try to find it.
It was like the orange dinosaur. That's.
It's let's see here. Sure. And as I show, there are numerous fossils. Here it comes. Numerous fossils of dinosaurs that are dead, buried alive in the sediments of the flood of Noah, where their tail is curled up over their top of their head. But you're saying this creature couldn't have bent the back end of its tail enough to stand upright?
The tail is bent almost 90 degrees.
Not from its interior, it's not.
And
it goes
again,
down toward the ground and it curls up.
Why is this drawing so poorly detailed?
Well, look, I could show you 90 more pictures that, were not as less detailed than that. But, the truth is, all you're doing is looking at a picture that depicts a creature with a remarkable tail standing upright and it's bent, and then saying that it couldn't have bent that way because it would break. And I find that preposterous.
I'm saying that because we know, based on the body plans and based on the skeletal structure of tons of theropod dinosaurs, that this is not a position that dinosaurs would be in. And also, this drawing on the left, you say it's a dinosaur. I think it looks like a paperclip. Like, there's no detail to it. Why is it that the French caves drawings of horses have such beautiful detail, and this looks like a paperclip?
Well, so all I'm hearing is your ideas. I'm not hearing any scientific reason.
Can you explain that?
It doesn't look like a paperclip.
But it's
why
doesn't it have any detail? Why is it so poorly detailed? It's not even a drawing.
Well, this is just let me show you why. Because of this and the countless other examples I can provide. about 60 more. And you'll say the same kind of thing about that. Oh, that can't be a Protoceratops. See, you're always going to find some reason not to believe because of your paradigm. See, but I could show you, 50 more examples, and you'll say each one, no, that can't be that. No, that can't be that. So evolutionism is a package of denialism. It's not science, and that's why I say, why is this? Is that a stegosaurus? No, that's not a stegosaurus. Nah, it sure looks like one, but nah, that can't.
Yeah, because those aren't those spines; those are leaves. It's a plant behind that. This is like a
really
more
a plant that happens to grow around an animal. Yeah.
Yeah. An animal can stand in front of a plant, Neff. That is possible.
Right. That looks like a plant, right?
Yeah. Have you ever seen leaves before?
No, I don't think that looks like a plant, my friend. No,
okay.
I'm
well,
sorry.
Can we move forward to the your argument about the KT boundary?
Well, the KT boundary, I asked you a question about it. I said, if the flood of Noah occurred, and if the waters that flooded the earth came out of the earth, like creationists say, and like the Bible says, then if those waters encountered a deposit of iridium that was in the earth, and as they come out of the earth, the waters eroded that iridium and deposited on the earth in a strata that got buried in subsequent strata, we would have a layer of iridium on the earth, just as we do today, right? So the point I'm making is, isn't it true that the creationist model can explain it in the same way that your imagined idea of, some impact, which I would argue is not an actual impact, but an intrusion event, a gas bubble that burst from the earth during the Noahic flood, at Chicxulub, but is not actually an asteroid impact. There's no conclusive scientific evidence of that. In fact, there's arguments against it. But let's imagine if it's true that the waters that flooded the earth encountered a deposit of iridium or even coal or anything else, right? And eroded that and spat it out on the earth, and then subsequent materials came out of the earth and deposited over the top of it, and on top of that, then we would have a layer of iridium. So isn't it true that the creationist model of the flood of Noah could explain that iridium layer as well?
Well, that's a big if.
If the flood of Noah occurred. That's all I'm asking. If the flood of Noah did occur, wouldn't that be plausible if it occurred?
Not really, because the flood itself isn't plausible. And
no, so
this is just an ad hoc explanation.
That's not the point. No, that's not the point. The question is this. If. Let's go with the premise.
Because
the
radiometric dating of the radiometric dating of the iridium shows it's older than 6,000 years.
So no.
The answer is no.
We're dealing with logic here, not radiometric dating assumptions. Okay, so
not an assumption; it's an absolute date.
If there was a deposit of iridium in the earth, and the earth cracked open, and waters gushed out of the earth and deposited various materials in order in which they were in the earth below, and dumped them out on the earth, and in order, in the opposite order in which they existed inside the earth geologically, which is what would have happened had that occurred, right? Then we would have a layer of iridium covered with other sediments on top. Once the iridium had been expended, it eroded out and spent out onto the earth, then other materials would have continued to come out and eroded when sediments would have flowed across them and buried that, and we would end up with a layer of iridium. Isn't that true? I'm only asking you a logic question, not whether or not you believe it's true. Wouldn't that be isn't that, if the flood of Noah occurred, wouldn't that potentially explain a layer of iridium that's global? I think it would.
I don't think that water would lay down iridium like that. Well, your position is ridiculous. The
Well,
question
no,
you're asking is ridiculous.
how is it ridiculous to ask if a massive amount of water is gushing out of the earth and a crack in the earth, right? And it encounters a deposit of iridium, and it's going to erode that iridium out of the earth and dump it onto the earth until the iridium is gone, right? Then as it continues to erode, other stuff is going to keep coming out, right? And deposit over the top of that. That's logical, right? So if that occurred, the creationist model can easily explain there being an iridium layer across the global, because that's exactly what would have happened during the Noahic flood, right? But I'll never get you to admit that that's a logical, plausible explanation, even if you don't believe that the Noahic flood occurred. You just won't admit that it's logical that the creationist has a potential explanation for it.
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to say that it wasn't from an asteroid impact when we have the massive Chicxulub crater. I mean, how do you explain that if it wasn't from an asteroid?
I've explained that there is evidence that it's not Chicxulub is not an asteroid impact, but it's actually a gas, a mud bubble that burst out of the earth during the Noahic flood. And because, firstly, of the fineness of its boundary, and the sedimentary layers that exist there, indicate that the materials in which this occurred were all soft sedimentary materials, and not something hard. It's not like an asteroid hit the hard Earth and created an impact. These were sedimentary strata all around the impact point, what's claimed to be an impact point. And that can only occur if the materials hadn't had time to concrete into stone. And
well, the date of the impact coincides precisely with the KT boundary, slightly more than 66 million years ago.
Well,
so I'm sorry, but you can't just throw out. It's not an assumption. Radiometric dating gives absolute dates, and you can't just throw that out and give your ad hoc explanation instead.
Radiometric dating is not empirical science.
Yes,
there's no way
absolute
to
dates.
No, radiometric dating cannot empirically date a rock. I'm so happy to inform you about this. When evolutionist scientists date a rock, now the method by which they date a rock is really high tech. It's excellent science, really good stuff. Okay, no problem there. But they get a variety of dates. That's why they call it radiometric, because they get a metric. They don't get a single date. They get a number of them. So they'll date a rock and they'll get 60 million years, 42 million years, 98 million years, 76 million years, 140 million years. And it works like this. How old do you think that index fossil in that rock was? We think that one's 104 million years. 104. Which dates did we get? We got one that was 80 and 126. Pick the 126. Okay, got that. All right, discard the rest. That's how old it is. That's how it works. That's exactly.
Oh, have you been in the lab when they were radiometrically dating samples?
Evolutionist scientists admit this.
Oh, do you have evidence of that?
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, show it.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be waiting.
I'm so glad you asked me. So glad you asked me. I think you're really not. There's a lot you don't realize. I know you're gung ho and you're really into this, but there's so much that you don't know. I'm looking for the link right now. Here it is. Okay. So let me see here.
Want to take this time, folks, to let you know on the bottom
That's what
right.
I thought. Sorry. Sorry, James.
No worries. On the bottom right of your screen, folks, we are pumped, as it was originally scheduled for today, but then we found out from Ken Hovind's tech that their tech stuff is currently being worked on. And so we are shooting for the Kent Hovind debate between him and Dr. Dan Cardinal that you see at the bottom right of your screen to be this month rather than tonight. And again, special thanks. We do appreciate Atheist Jr. for jumping in, as well as NephilimFree, to be fair. You also jumped in last minute. And so I want to give a huge thank you to both of our guests. And I will switch into screen share for you, Neph. They can see now.
Thank you. So, excuse me. E.H. Andrews, professor of materials, University of London, said, whatever the figures arrived by the dating dates, they are weeded out before publication in scientific journals. If they do not accord with the preconceived dates to the evolutionary geologic column. And here from this particular study, 1977, in general, dates in the correct ballpark are assumed to be correct and are published, but those in discordant with other data are seldom published and discrepancies fully explained. Here's another. J.E. O'Rourke wrote, the intelligent layman has long suspected circular reasoning in the use of rocks to date fossils and fossils to date rocks. The geologist has never bothered to think a good reply, feeling the explanations are not worthy of the trouble as long as it brings results. And I could provide numerous others. So the point is, when it comes to radiometric dating, it is not an empirical method of dating anything. Water moves radioisotopes into and out of rocks constantly. That's why your government and your local facility is constantly worried about potassium and argon and all the other, iridium and stuff in the water that you drink, because water's moving isotopes through the rocks into your drinking water. Okay, that happens everywhere on the earth, right? And that means radiometric dating processes are not empirical science. They're based upon assumption, because isotopes are added to and removed from rocks by water moving through them every time it rains. Every time. So here's an example. If you have a rock
can I respond to what you were saying about circularity?
Sure.
Okay, because I don't think this is circularity. This is the normal scientific process of refining your understanding with new data. And this is what happens in all sciences. If an inconsistent data point is found, then geologists just ask the question, is this date wrong, or is saying that the current geological timescale is wrong? Well, the former is usually going to be more likely because there's a vast amount of data behind the understanding of the timescales. And every rock is not expected to just preserve isotopic systems for millions of years. But, inconsistencies can be found in dating because of contamination and other things, but they don't just throw out the dates they don't want and choose them.
I just showed you a quote from two scientists that say that's exactly what they do. And they're not creationists. And you just say they don't do that. But I just showed you two sources from two university professors who were geologists who state that's exactly what they do. And you say they don't do that. So it's you against the two university professors who are secular university scientists who work in geology. And you're going to say they don't do that, but they say they do. Who knows more, you or them? Who's right? You saying they don't do that, but them admitting publicly that's exactly what we do.
No, you're just reading quote mines that make it sound like that.
So if I bring them up again, it's going to look like a quote mine, or is it going to look like?
No, it is a quote mine, because that's a famous Kent Hovind creationist quote mine. And if you look at the original scientific paper where it talks about the circularity, the sentence, the first and second sentence, there's a bunch of text in between those two sentences that Kent Hovind cut out.
No, there isn't.
Because he's dishonest. Yes, there is. I've seen the paper.
Not my quotes. And I could provide you 20 more. But
I'm sure you have a bunch of quote mines now.
Well, this is like you're saying that those look like human footprints only when you get them at the right angle with the light. Then it looks like a human footprint, but it's not right. It's not. See? This is you're not aware of the fact that evolutionist scientists themselves admit. So all I've heard from you is that, I predicted this when we came into this debate, before we actually started debating. You were going to center your entire argument was going to be based on largely that your imaginary idea that that radiometric dating is empirical science, when every scientist in the world knows it's not empirical. And
Oh, really?
and this allegedly proves you're right. But you haven't discredited anything about the evidence I provided or could provide that man coexisted with dinosaurs. Man has depicted himself in the very rock record with dinosaurs in art for thousands of years, creatures that look exactly like known species of dinosaurs in numerous cultures all over the world. So you have to tell me, if those are not dinosaurs, what kind of creature looks like that but is not a dinosaur that man
I don't know.
would
You have to
depict?
define what a kind is first for me to answer that. What's a kind?
Well, so you're telling me that those are not dinosaurs. So what kind of creature was it that man depicted if it's not a dinosaur? So you say it's not
I
a
don't know.
dinosaur.
What's a kind?
It looks
What's a
like
kind?
it looks like a dinosaur. So if it's not a dinosaur, what organism is it?
It's a paperclip. I think it looks like a paperclip, so it's a paperclip. That's your logic, Neff.
It's not a stegosaurus. It's an animal that looks like one with leaves behind it somehow. And
yeah, that's what it looks like to me. That's just as valid as your argument. It looks like this, so it must be this. That's cognitive. That's confirmation bias.
It's not a sauropod dinosaur that has a wattle under its neck. They just depicted it accurately that it has a wattle, even though ancient man could never have seen the creature that has a wattle under its neck, right?
What you're describing is confirmation bias. You want dinosaurs to live with man because you take the Bible to be true before you look for any scientific evidence. And then what you do is you twist the data to match what you want to be true. That's confirmation bias.
Well,
so when you see these things, you think they look like a dinosaur. So, this must be a dinosaur. And since this is created by a man, look, this confirms my position that the Bible is true.
No,
what
here's
a coincidence.
Here's what really happens is I can show you things that look like dinosaurs, and every 2-year-old in the world or 5-year-old would admit that's a dinosaur. But when evolutionists are asked, it's not a dinosaur anymore. And when that looks like a human footprint, it can't be one because it's in Biloxi, Texas, in the same strata as a real theropod dinosaur, which evolutionists admit are real theropod dinosaur tracks in that same strata. So those can't be human, even though that's exactly what they look like, much more than human footprints found allegedly 6 million years old. So all I'm hearing really is a huge packet of denial. This can't be, that can't be, that can't be radiometric dating. This can't be, that can't be, this can't be radiometric dating. I'm not hearing anything.
This isn't true because radiometric dating, which gives absolute dates, shows that the timescale doesn't work. Yeah, that's not a good answer at all, Neff.
I predicted before you debated me in the text chat that you were going to center your argument on a radiometric dating because you believe it's an empirical science, and this is your whole case. Radiometric dating proves evolution. It proves that deep time is true. It proves man couldn't have coexisted with dinosaurs, and that's exactly what you've done. And that's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Of course not, because you've already decided that the Bible is true.
I've shown you 2 quotations from scientists. I could show you 20 more that evolutionist scientists themselves admit radiometric dating is not empirical, and scientists pick the date out of the group that they get when they date something and decide which one of them is true.
I don't care how many quote mines you have.
Well, that's not empirical science then, friend.
Yeah, I agree. Quote mines aren't empirical science.
They're science is. So you're saying those scientists are wrong when they say that scientists pick the date. When they date something, they get a plethora of dates. They get a half a dozen dates, right? And
it is wrong to frame it that way because when you're doing real science, you don't pick the position you want. Like people like you who pick the data to match what they want, which is you saying, I want this to match the Bible, which I already decided is true.
No,
that's
young man.
Confirmation bias, and that's not real science. That's not what scientists do. Your quote mines are misrepresenting science.
No. I'm not
misquoting
anything.
Stop it.
What you need to understand. What you need to understand is this. The secular camp scientists admit openly that when they date a thing, they get a group of dates for it. And they pick the one that fits their ideas of evolution and discard the rest. They admit it openly. A dozen prominent evolutionist university professors who are geology professors admit this openly, that they pick the date and discard the rest. There's no quote mining here. It's not fake. I'm not false. I'm not providing false information. They really do that. And I can see that you're very, very adamant that that can't be true. You're very determined to believe that that can't possibly be true. Although
And
it
you're very
absolutely
determined
is.
to believe that the Bible is true, Neff. That's
It
confirmation
absolutely
bias,
is,
that that's
though.
not science.
So
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You've already decided the Bible is true. So you're going to twist all of the evidence to match your preconceived position. And that's fallacious.
This is becoming a little bit
it's
redundant, so we might want to move on to something maybe new before we go into Q&A. We've got just a little bit of time left.
Sure. Well, my entire
how much
argument
time?
centers upon how do you dismiss the depictions, art and literature that man has depicted accurately of known species of dinosaurs, about a dozen different species. And the only argument that the opposition has is to deny, just like they deny footprints. They deny that scientists admit that, when they date something, they get a range of dates and they pick the one and discard the rest, even though every geologist who works in a laboratory, a geothermal lab, and conducts radiometric dating, they know exactly what they do, and that's exactly what they do. And there's been a dozen of them that have had the gumption to come out and say, this is what we do. And all I'm hearing is denial. I'm not hearing scientific evidence that man couldn't have coexisted with dinosaurs. I hear assumptions and denial. That's all I'm hearing.
Well, why is it that no human fossils have been found in the same layer as dinosaur fossils then?
That's an excellent question. For the same reason we haven't found a giraffe fossil with a flamingo fossil. Because the odds of that happening is like billions and billions to one.
What do you mean? They're both in
what you're asking for layer. Is finding a needle in a field of haystacks.
No.
That's what you're asking.
If dinosaurs live with man, if dinosaurs live with man, then there should be dinosaurs and human fossils in the same layer, and there should be a jumble of all different animals, dinosaurs, fossils. There should be mammals in the Precambrian layers. It should all be jumbled up in the same layers.
It should be
if they all lived at the same time during the flood, but it's not. You have very ordered layers where you have the simplest life forms at the very bottom, and you get more and more complex as you go up, and you have no fossils of humans in the same layers as dinosaurs. You have 5 layers of geologic column separating them. Can you explain that?
So let's tear apart your idea. If humans and dinosaurs coexisted, and let's say, how many human beings might there have existed on the earth at that time? Now, the creationist explanation is possibly 1 to 2 million people. So let's say there's 2 million people, just to be generous, on the earth when the flood of Noah occurred. What's the likelihood that we're going to find any human fossil in the same strata as a dinosaur when there's millions of dinosaurs and only 2 million human beings? That we would just happen to find a strata. Look, the evolutionists have the same problem. Here, you don't seem to realize this. You're learning, I don't know. There are countless creatures in the geologic column that evolutionists believe coexist with each other, but they can't find them in the same strata. So your idea, this is a fake argument. You can't support your own evolution theory with that argument, much less make an argument against my views. I mean, why don't we find, since evolutionists believe, for example, that hadrosaurs coexisted with numerous other species of dinosaurs, how come we don't find hadrosaurs in the same strata as all these other different species of dinosaurs? We just don't. We're lucky to find a hadrosaur fossil. So your argument is fake. it doesn't mean anything that we don't find a human in the same strata as a dinosaur, in the same way that we don't find a hadrosaur in the same strata as a T-Rex or as a any number of other theropod dinosaurs or anything else. It's just a fake argument. You're making stuff up as you go.
You're saying that hadrosaurs weren't found in the same layers as Cretaceous dinosaurs? Is that what you were saying?
No, I didn't say that. I'm
What
saying
did you say?
we don't find a hadrosaur in the same strata as all the other creatures that are allegedly coexisted with it.
Well, shouldn't we, if all these animals existed at the same time after Noah's flood?
But we don't. And so your argument that we should find a human, and so we should find a human in the same strata as this particular dinosaur. It's just the same fake argument. See, that's all. You can't support your worldview with it.
Why is it a fake argument? If humans and dinosaurs live together, then wouldn't it make sense that they were in the same layer?
If hadrosaurs coexisted with these other species,
answer my question.
Shouldn't we find them in the same strata? See what I mean?
Answer my question without diverting.
No, it's the same fake argument. You see what I mean? You do see.
You can't answer the question.
I just did.
No,
I answered it by pointing out that it's a fake argument.
Yeah, exactly. You can't answer it, so you just pivot and say something else.
It's a fake argument.
Okay, doesn't it make sense that they would be in the same layer though if they coexisted?
It's a fake argument. I just explained to you why.
Can we go to Q&A, James? I'm talking to a wall here.
Yeah, I did.
Want to attack the arguments rather than the person.
I apologize.
We will go into Q&A shortly. Any last points that you guys have before we do?
I don't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I honestly don't. I feel like we kind of went over everything.
I would just spend a couple of seconds to say that the evolutionist camp depends desperately on radiometric dating, which is not empirical science, and evolutionist scientists themselves admit it. And there was no empirical evidence that man didn't coexist with dinosaurs. Man has depicted dinosaurs. He wrote legends, even right up to the days of Marco Polo, of coexisting with and experiencing the presence of dinosaurs. The idea is an ancient Babylonian idea of deep time, millions of years. The Hindu Brahmin came up with the idea. They gave the idea to the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians and the Babylonians. So it's an ancient myth. It's put forth today as science.
We'll give you the last word if you want to draw together the threads from this debate as well, Atheist Junior.
Right. Well, I do agree with you, James. I shouldn't attack the other debater, so I do apologize to Neff for that. It's easy to get a little heated in debates, and I did take this debate on I think about 3 hours notice, so I'd have to ask you guys to sort of bear with me, but. I would just say that basically, I think if you look at the evidence of the cometary impact, of the Chicxulub crater, and the radiometric dating and how the dates match up to the impact date and the dating of how old the iridium is, I think it makes sense that the most likely explanation is that the dinosaurs in the Cretaceous era went extinct from that event, and that sort of underpins my whole argument. So I'll just leave it at that.
Gotcha. And we're going to jump into that Q&A, folks. So thanks very much for your questions. And want to let you know, folks, our guests are linked in the description. So if you want to hear more from our guests, you certainly can. Also want to let you know if you're listening via podcast, because all of our debates are uploaded as podcasts as well. Want to let you know you can find our guest links in the description box for that podcast episode too. So we're jumping into the questions. This one coming in from Doubting Thomas says, for the atheists in chat, please check out G.A. Sola. Great content. Thumbs up. And Kenny Hornrickson, thanks you for your question, says, question for both. Did you know that NASA uses vaccines to brainwash people into believing in the globe Earth religion? Okay, gotcha. Well, what do you guys think? Do you buy it, or are you skeptical of this idea?
Was it asking about the flat Earth?
They said, did you know that NASA uses vaccines to brainwash people into believing in the globe Earth religion?
Well, I got both of my vaccines, but I believed in the globe Earth religion before that, so I would say no.
NephilimFree?
Absurdity. That's my only comment.
Next up, Magellan says, so we are playing the cherry-picking squiggles game. They don't say who it's addressed to, but because I know their position, I think it's aimed at you, NephilimFree. What do you have to say to that?
I say squiggle on.
Gotcha. Okay.
I agree.
Next up, thanks for your super sticker. My name is Mud. Appreciate it. And Magellan says, Nephilim, you can't use nonsense as an argument for further nonsense. The Ark is an impossible joke.
I say the truth seems nonsense to those who are opposed to it.
Gears of
my
Yoda,
name is-
thanks for your generous super chat. Appreciate it. Says, evolution happened. The Earth is a globe. Thanks, James. Your channel is awesome. Thank you for your kind words. And NephilimFree will give you a chance to respond when they say evolution happened.
I say it's impossible.
Gotcha. And this one, Shogun Lobster, thanks for your super chat, says, NephilimFree, this debate is so embarrassing. How
I
have
agree.
you spent so many years about, what's the word? Wandering about the internet, yet you still don't understand anything about dinosaurs, basic science, or evolution.
Well, I'd say when natural chemistry is able to create functionality, purpose, semiotics, information, algorithms, linguistics like grammar, punctuation, syntax, phonetics, semiotics, then we could believe the Babylonian and ancient Egyptian and Hindu Brahmin. But I don't fall for it.
Gotcha. Just reminded me of a quick update I want to give you folks, as if you're a moderator and you haven't been around for a while, there are way more, you could say, kind of ambitions we're asking the moderators to take on. In particular, we're asking all the moderators to not debate with people in chat or to take even a side, as we are striving to be uber neutral, the most neutral we can possibly be. And so some moderators, we will have no hard feelings if you're like, hey, I really do love debating in chat. It's okay if you want to let us know to remove the wrench. We won't have hard feelings. We know that a lot of people love to debate in chat, but we also know that sometimes we fear that people might get the wrong idea about modern day debate, as sometimes it just coincidentally will happen to be, let's say, all atheist or all Christian moderators on some nights, or at least majority atheist or majority Christian, whatever. And then sometimes people are like, oh, like all these moderators are taking this position. Like, is this like an atheist channel or a Christian channel? It's like, we are a purely natural or a neutral channel. And so thanks for your question. Michael Dresden says, it isn't bouncing on its tail. Total lie, atheist. I think they're referring to the dinosaur, the orange dinosaur picture. I think they took you literally.
I don't know if I said it was bouncing on its tail, but it certainly looks like it's resting on its tail. And the tail seems to be bent almost at a 90-degree angle. And to me, that doesn't, in the picture, that doesn't look natural. Yeah, it just doesn't, look, I mean, does that look like any dinosaur you've seen? No, it looks wrong to me. And we've never seen a theropod dinosaur body plan that's like this. This isn't how a T-Rex sits or walks or balances. It's just ridiculous. It's a paperclip.
When somebody says that the tail's bent like 90 degrees in that depiction, we know they're not dealing in reality.
This one coming in from Patriot University PhD says, Neff, please pick up your Physiology Nobel Peace Prize.
I love you, Patriot University.
I already have one from every university and every galaxy and every solar system and every universe.
Gotcha. And Michael Lyon says, belief is the enemy of knowledge. And I don't know if either of you would want to respond to that or not.
Well, I think belief knowledge is a subset of belief, or maybe I have that backwards. I don't know. It's not an enemy of it.
Wisdom comes from knowing God.
Next up, Spicy Road says, some cave art looks like astronauts wearing spacesuits and aliens. Do you believe that is accurate, NephilimFree?
The depictions of beings that look like humans in spacesuits were carved after the fact. They need to look into that a little bit deeper. That's fake. That didn't happen in ancient times or even medieval times. They were added later. People are not aware of it.
Topher Birth says, Neff, why is atheist not trusting, two quotes, bad, but you not trusting 99% of scientists good?
It's not like that at all. It's trusting scientists who make admissions, like all the prominent evolutionist scientists who admit the fossil record doesn't show clear evidence of transition, all the way back to Stephen Jay Gould, all the way back to the 20th century, all the way back to Charles Darwin, and they still can't find them.
Great question.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from, we have thrown some poop at Neff, so this one comes, well, we have to be fair. Batman says, I think Neff is wrong, but seriously, AGR, just saying quote mining and confirmation bias repeatedly instead of addressing more specifically is weak.
Well, I will just say that this is my second debate that I've ever done. And, I took it on short notice. So, I'm doing my best, guys.
Got it. And want to remind you folks, both Atheist JR and NephilimFree are linked in the description. We really do appreciate them. As mentioned, folks, we're going to have this debate, and then something fell through. And so both these guys jumped in with little prep time. So we really do appreciate these guys. And Bubblegum Gun says, Neff, why would God genocide the dinosaurs?
I don't know. When you can find their evidence that he did, you could tell me about it. God didn't genocide anything. He put in place a mechanism that he had proclaimed from the beginning. So they genocided themselves.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Topher Birth strikes again, says, the truth seems nonsense to those who oppose, unquote. And then they say, do you not oppose evolution and think it nonsense, NephilimFree?
I would say the Bible says that every creature in the world had opposed God and changed its ways. And so just like man, when man chose to sin, he changed his ways, and God has judgment against that. The animals were no different. Read the Bible carefully, because it says the animals did the very same thing.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for this question coming in from Smokey Saint. I don't know if there was a question that was meant to be attached to your super chat. I saw there was a super chat, but let me know if there's a question, and you can just put it in the chat as a normal chat. This one coming in from, where did I put Creo's question? Creo, forgive me. Here's one. Creo Debunk says, NephilimFree, about strawman evolution. If young Earth creation evolved from flat earthers, that does not mean that flat earthers get extinct.
I would say that the purple monkeys on Valles Prudium have not quite proven that the spiral starships are valid. So, we're both at a standstill.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Ferran Salas, thank you very much for your question. Says 3 digits of Archaeopteryx and other birds have exact proportions, wrist connections, as those of 3-fingered theropod dinosaurs. Coincidence? Not likely, NephilimFree.
It's not exactly correct. It's a misrepresentation of the evidence. Evolutionists are experts at doing that.
Gotcha. Want to give you a chance, though. If you want to go more in depth, we'll give you the time.
Well, evolutionists misrepresent all kinds of things. They say Lucy had, locking knee joints, but the animal did not.
More about this question, though.
Oh, well, it's the same thing. The fossils don't show that there's a clear transition from one type of ankle bone or wrist bone to another. They don't show that. They just show this type, and then there's that type. There's no such thing as a transitional form in the fossil record. The plethora of prominent evolutionist scientists have written in their own books expected to be read by their own peers, that transitional forms are not clearly seen in the geologic column. And that's been true all the way since Darwin, right on up through Stephen Jay Gould and Stephen Stanley and the present. So, no, an absence of evidence for evolution is not evidence for evolution.
This one coming in from Marshall. You remember him, NephilimFree? He saved the debate, I think it was a couple weeks ago, says, can you ask NephilimFree what article he's quoting about the modern birds with dinosaurs?
I'd be happy to look that up and then give you the name of it. I have numerous ones, but I'll be happy to provide that for you. Give me just a couple of minutes. I can't do it in 10 seconds. Give me a minute or two. Go on with the next question.
We can do that because I'm going to mention, folks, we are pumped. If you have not seen it, folks, I am going to put this link into the live chat right now. In particular, we are pumped that we have reached our original goal for the crowdfund, folks, and we are excited to pursue now our stretch goal. So we want you to check this out, as we are absolutely pumped. Let me show you this on screen as we are thrilled. Folks, thanks so much for all of your support as we have continually grown in terms of this crowdfund strategy, and we plan on using it for epic events in the future. So if you ever want to see like a Richard Dawkins debate on here someday, something like that, this crowdfund strategy, we really believe, is the way that we're going to be able to do it. We're going to learn how it works, get better at it, get experience at it, and continue growing so that we can put on those huge headline events. And so that is linked in the chat, and I'll pin it to the top of the chat. We invite you to join us as we are absolutely thrilled for this epic event, which happens tomorrow, you guys. You don't want to miss it. And so that crowdfund, in this case, you could say we're going for that stretch goal. We want to invite you. If you've ever found this channel to be valuable to you, if you've ever like, yeah, it's all right, highly encourage you, jump in on this crowdfund with us as we go for this stretch goal. We've only got $36 away and we'll be at the stretch goal. So we are pumped, folks. Only $36 away. And so with that, NephilimFree, I think you were pulling something up. I'll give you a chance to do that if you'd like.
Yeah, well, I've already been posting numerous links here and titles of papers that, that people can read. This is what they need to look up. I could provide a lot of this stuff. I'm just copying and pasting some of my sources.
Gotcha.
From the secular camp, not the creationists.
Gotcha. What we can do, but did you want to screen share?
No, thanks.
Okay. So one thing, I'm going to update this right now. As somebody let me know, Atheist JR, your link is broken.
Here's the one,
so I'm going to
James.
fix it right now, folks.
Right there. That one I just posted in the text chat is the one that was the major one that I spoke of mostly. Whole genome analysis resolve early branches in the tree of life of modern birds. That paper there points out that numerous kinds of modern species of birds, completely modern, coexisted with dinosaurs in the Cretaceous.
Thanks Cloud of Time for your super chat, said just supporting. Thank you Cloud of Time for that support. It seriously does mean a lot. And then if you have any other questions, folks, I am going to, as I am looking for Atheist Junior's link, folks, let me know if the guest links don't work. They should be working, but someone mentioned that Atheist Junior's link, or Atheist, is it Atheist Junior or JR?
It's Junior, but you could just call me AJ if you want.
You got it. AJ's link should work. Let me know. Someone mentioned that it didn't, and so for me, it links. It's hyperlinked so that if I click on it, it just brings me to the YouTube channel. And so we do want to make sure that our guest links actually work. So thanks for the heads up on that from those of you in the chat. And then with that, go ahead.
Like my channel link is literally just, you can just type in youtube.com/atheistjr and it'll go right to the channel.
Gotcha. It does work for me, so I'm confused. As Sideshow Nav says, Atheist JR Link also not working for me. 404 error. That's weird.
I'll paste one in the. I'll paste it in the live chat myself.
Gotcha. And so we will attempt to figure out what that is. But as mentioned, folks, tomorrow night is the big event that we've been waiting for over a month, and we are absolutely thrilled. And also, we have just made it above our stretch goal. So thank you so much to those who have donated to this Kickstarter, or I should say crowdfund, as we are now using Indiegogo. And so thank you so much, as we are pumped, you guys, for this event tomorrow. And thank you for your support, folks, in every way, shape, and form, whether it be, folks, even just sharing the channel, even clicking the like button, that helps a ton. So we really do appreciate all of your support and all of the different ways in which it comes. And so I'm going to be back in just a moment with a post-credit scene letting you know about upcoming juicy debates, as we are pumped about the future. And we hope to see you for those juicy debates in the future as well. Hit that subscribe button. And one last thank you, JR and NephilimFree. It has been a true pleasure to have you.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
My pleasure. I'll be right back in just a moment, folks. Hang tight.
Yeah. I'm not dying. Get out of here.
Okay, here we go. We have Gears of Yoda. So sorry we missed your question. We got it now. Don't worry, they're both still here. Nephilim, the Gears of Yoda, thank you for your questions. Last minute says, what is the source, NephilimFree, what is the source of that Triceratops compared to a small statue from a slide you presented? Statue source, please. I think they're talking about that Triceratops that had kind of like the circular plate-like face.
And when the Triceratops, it was a different species. The source is an ancient piece of Chinese art, and the actual depiction of modern evolutionists of that creature. That's the evidence. I mean, it's what exists. It's an ancient piece of Chinese art, a clay figure created to depict that dinosaur. The source, I don't know, but they would need to, just look it up. But if you need a specific source for every single thing, then it demonstrates, I think, that somebody's not willing to investigate anything, and they're just sitting back and expecting somebody to, provide an overwhelming number of something in order to, prove what they believe is wrong. If that's where you're thinking, then you're not being intellectual about the subject matter at all. Because to know whether or not you're right about something, whatever it may be, requires you to spend the time and effort to investigate it and compare evidence. And if somebody is going to sit on their laurels and say, I don't believe anything you say unless somebody can take me by the hand, drag me over to things and show it to me, say, looky, then they're they're determined not to believe a thing. See, real people who are seriously believe a thing because of scientific evidence, a preponderance of things that can be believed upon, that are observable, testable, repeatable. These are people who take the time to investigate on their own behalf. If somebody's not willing to do that, they're not interested in what's really true or not. They're only interested in defending what they want to believe.
Wait, but didn't he ask? Did you just ask for your source?
I put a link to a Smithsonian article that talks about the.
Wait, but was he I'm trying to just for Neff. Like, was he just asking for your source?
Yes, the source of the image. I don't know the source of the image, but I think I provided sources for enough of what I spoke about to give an impression that I'm right about things. I can't tell you about what the source of that actual Chinese depiction of that dinosaur is. I don't happen to know. But the truth is, if somebody is willing to say that none of this art that created by man actually exists, then they're really just kind of shutting themselves out of the world. I don't see that as a rational way to deal with with scientific arguments.
Wait a minute. What?
Just
I
say,
can't. I'm trying to remember. The only thing I'm not getting is I got the first part in terms of you said that you didn't know where the source was, but what was it? You're saying do I like I can't be understanding right. I must. It's just my attention split. You're not. I don't think I don't want to be. What's the word?
well, let me put it
I
this
don't
way.
want to. I don't want to be uncharitable. You're not saying that
The depiction
someone,
of the
what,
depiction of a dinosaur on the wall of the Cambodian temple. I don't know the source of the photographer who made the photograph, but then there are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of photographers who've made pictures of that same temple.
right. What my
So
thought was, I was like, why are you?
asking me
Why are
to
we?
tell you exactly who's the photographer, I couldn't tell you. You
I
know,
didn't. Well, I
but-
didn't get where just the last part. I'm only curious because I'm like there must have been a link in the chain that I missed because you said something about like shutting oneself out from like something like the evidence or something into the like, and I'm like, wait, what? Like,
well, I
I
would
think
just
it's from an
say
Answers in
that
Genesis
I would
article.
just say that
I'm
when
asking
there's
Neff.
Sorry.
I would just say when there's such a plethora of evidence and somebody just is unwilling to investigate to find out these things unless somebody gives them a scientific source and they can go look on it, click on it and see the evidence and this particular evidence themselves, then to think they're really being dishonest with themselves.
I mean,
To hold to a worldview requires that somebody's willing to investigate and compare evidences, right? If you expect somebody to bring everything to you, but you're not willing to go out and investigate and find and compare yourself,
well,
then
but Neff, when I hate to interrupt, but just to be fair, because like to be fair, like the person only asked, like they just said like, what is the source, for that
And I
They
small
literally
statue?
spent money to
And
ask.
I
hold
don't
on,
know
okay,
the source
Atheist
of the
Junior, I'm
image.
talking. Please don't interrupt. So they were, to be fair to that person, like they weren't saying like I won't believe you unless you give me the source. I think like it was a sincere, like they were just saying like, hey, do you know what the source is for that?
well,
Like,
the
I
first
don't.
thing I said was I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
gotcha.
know
But
that.
the
I don't
reason
know
I was
the source of
confused,
the actual person who
Nephilim
took the
Free.
photograph of that art.
I'm only saying I was like they're like asking who maybe they're just asking because they're like, hey, I want to read more about it. Like I don't they never said anything about like I won't believe you Nephilim Free unless you give me the
And I said
paper
I
title or
don't know
something.
the source of the photograph.
Okay, gotcha. I just that's that part I understood, but I was like, wait, but I don't know if because they might, for all we know, maybe they're like they're like they want to give it an honest read. Like, I don't know what their position is, but in case, let me just quick reload in case any last. Oh, I did miss a question. Michael Lyons, so sorry about that. And then Atheist Junior, if you had something that you wanted to add, I didn't want to lock you out of that conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting, but yeah, I put a link in the chat to a Smithsonian article that talks about the carving. But no, that's all.
Gotcha.
Well, I would say that disqualifying the picture required, considering the plethora of evidence that I have, and what little I did provide, would require that somebody apply the same mental attitude towards all of it, and there would have to be a person who says, "No, that can't be true. No, that can't be true. No, that can't be true. No, that can't be true," without investigating anything for themselves.
Right. I mean, I don't deny there are people out there like that, but like I said, the person was just, I think, like they're just asking for the source, so I don't think they.
Right. Well, I said I
there
don't
was
know
no.
the source of that particular photograph.
Right,
But if
Nephilim
somebody's
Free. Okay, God, like they weren't, but the I'm just trying to explain that they weren't saying like, aha, gotcha. Like it was just a sincere ask. That's the way I
right,
interpret it.
well, I answered it saying I don't know the
Yes. Okay.
source
Well,
of
all
the
right.
actual
Okay.
photograph.
Gotcha. Sorry, I don't mean to be so. But anyway, Topher Birth says, Neff, how sure are you that the clay figure and other items were not created on Etsy? How could you get evidence for debate
Well,
and not retain the source?
because I know Etsy, I own them, and I own all the corporations of the world and all the galaxies of the universe, and so it can't be true.
Gotcha. This, so This next one, Silver Harlow. Let me know if I misunderstand your question.
I respond in kind.
Want to give you the best. I want to give you a fair shake. So they say a scientific paper lists all its sources and credits all its images, even though it is written for other scientists who can investigate. I think it's for you, Neff.
Repeat the question, please, sir.
You bet. They said a scientific paper lists all its sources and credits all its images, even though it is written for other scientists who can investigate.
So I would say, where's the science papers that do that, that demonstrate that, the artwork and the historical references of mankind cannot be true human history, or which discredit the numerous evolutionist scientists and university professors who admit that the fossil record does not demonstrate clear evidence of evolutionary transition for any major transition. So I would say that I would return it and toss it right back at them. I would say, you're asking for evidence for things that can't exist or don't exist, and then expecting the creationists to provide evidence, tangible evidence of something that's only historical evidence. And the evolutionists, if we examine compare the two, we find the evolutionist is relying upon assumption, and the humanist, the creationist, is actually replying with what is physical and observable.
Gotcha. Juicy. And then, there was one last question. Did I get to Michael Lyon's question? I also wanted to update the meter on the page, so thank you so much. That is updated, and I'm having a hard day today. Sorry, guys. I'm struggling today. My attention is
You need a tuna sandwich and a half glass of milk. That's what you need.
Thank you.
Did you meet your goal?
We did, and I am so thank you so much, folks, for throwing in to the crowdfund as we have met the stretch goal, which is like, seriously, you guys, I am dead serious. I don't know if you guys, I gotta ask you in chat, and I'll ask NephilimFree and Atheist Junior, AJR or AJ, if you guys don't believe me, like, I'm very serious. Like, our goal is to get debates like, eventually like Richard Dawkins against, I don't know, maybe like who's like Jason Lyle. He seems to be a popular creationist.
Jordan Peterson.
Huh?
Jordan Peterson, I think.
He's not a good example of a creationist. No.
Right. NephilimFree insists they're a creationist. So we get no Jordan Peterson. Why, that's weird. So long story short, but yeah, I'm serious about that as well. Like Jordan Peterson, those kind of debates. This crowdfund strategy, we really do believe we believe that we're actually going to get there and host those types of debates. And so thank you so much for all of your support. And then looking for any last questions. But yeah, thank you guys all for hanging out here, and thank you for coming back for this little encore, NephilimFree and Atheist Junior. It's been a true pleasure to have you tonight.
Thank you, James.
I believe in you, James. You can do it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I'll be right back, folks, in just a moment with a post-credit scene on upcoming debates, as we've got a lot of awesome upcoming debates, so stick around for that.
Yeah. I'm not dying. Get out of here.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I am pumped. You guys, so excited to just chill out with you. As last night I was so tired and it was so late that I was like quickly rushing out. But I do want to say thank you so much for all of your support, everybody. Thank you so much as we strive to provide a neutral platform where everybody can make their case on a level playing field. And so we, as always, want to let you know whether you be Christian, atheist, creationist, evolutionist, old earth creationist, what is the new one? I think they call evolutionary or creationary evolutionist or something like the people. Anyway, long story short, no matter what you like to be called, we're glad you're here. We hope you feel welcome. And so I do want to say thank you, everybody. But first, it's hot, you guys. I'm taking this off. Give me a sec. So first, I want to say hello, Bob Sadler. Stoked that you are with us again. Good to see you. As well as Excellus Thibodeau. Thank you for coming by. And Hannah Anderson, thanks for being here and all of your support as always. See you there in the old chat. And then thank you, Topher Berth, for being with us, as well as Farron Salas. Thanks for coming by. And then William Cozart, good to see you again. Dean, thanks for dropping in. And Lori Hayes, glad you are back. Thanks for your support. Timo, who says the like button is there for a reason. Please do hit that like button, folks, as it does help the channel. Oof. All those things, it does encourage me. It motivates me to put out more content. And so if you like more debates, then hey, please do hit that like button, as that encourages me, that motivates me, as we're excited about the future here, folks. And so we are doing a movement. There's something special happening here. It's not just great debates, all thanks to the speakers, by the way, but it is the vision. Namely, we want to provide a level playing field, and that's the trick. I've got to double check. So when I think about like Intelligence Squared, because there are other debate channels. Now there's like a variety of channels, but we are striving to do something that no other debate channel does that I know of, namely only debates, nothing but debates. So we don't have any videos that are like, oh, this is like, I hope you enjoyed that fun debate. Now here, let us show you like what the true position is on this particular issue. And then we put out our own video saying that, this is the right position and the other position is wrong. We promise to never do that. So I'm never going to pull a fast one on you where I'm going to come out and say, hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed that debate. Now I'm going to make a video about how the earth is flat in your face. It's not going to be anything like that, folks. It's always going to be fair, where we let you, the audience, decide who made the better case. And Silver Harlow, thanks for your super chat. Said just to support the channel and the great work you do organizing all this. Thank you, Silver. Seriously, that really does mean a lot. And seriously, it means a lot because I don't know if I told you guys. So I was going to teach this summer. And if I did actually teach this summer, I would have had less time for debates. That's for sure true. So we've been doing a lot of debates this last month and also organizing with the Kickstarter and stuff. But also, this is actually like my job for the summer, which is crazy because, when we first started, I've never thought that it would actually like grow as much as it has. And so thank you so much for all of your support, whether it be here on YouTube or Patreon or anything. We just appreciate you, like that. I love getting to do this over the summer, and I love to teach, but I got to be honest, I'm like, yeah, I kind of enjoy this more. I kind of am glad it worked out this way, because I was hoping to teach originally in the spring. And I was even reaching out to all these like different departments. I was like, hey, it's like you have a class that needs to be taught. Hey, here I am. And they were like, oh man, sorry. It's just too close to summer. We've already got the slots filled. And I was like, However, I'm glad it happened that way, because I can teach all the time. I am so thrilled to get to do this as my get to do this more seriously over the summer. It's been so fun. And so thank you guys, though. Thank you for your support of the crowdfund. I can't say thank you enough, as this is truly a team community effort. Like, you guys, seriously, we appreciate you. And so I'm just a guy in the back sending emails out for real. And so Louis Metin, let me know if I pronounce it right. We're glad you're here, Louis, as well as Exa Music. Good to have you with us. And Shasta X, thanks for dropping in. And then Farron Salas says, James's juicy meter is low today. Oh, baby. We are excited. You're right. I've updated it, and I'm pumped that we have met our stretch goal. We've gotten beyond our stretch goal. I am honestly, you guys, this is so huge. For real. Like, the next goal, I'm telling you, like we just really want to shoot for the stars, because I'm like, you know what, we got to go for it. Like we got to go for some big mainline, like huge events that people are going to be like, whoa, that is awesome. Like, how'd they get that to happen? And then, don't worry, if you're looking above me, NephilimFree's not really here. That's just a picture of him, okay? And he wasn't shooting lasers out of his eye during the debate. So, want to let you know that as well. But we are pumped. Sandy Pigeon, good to see you. All right. That's not my wife. That's just a picture of her. Okay. All right. So, Moomin Ryder, thanks for coming by, as well as Crimson Air. Thanks for dropping in. Says, have you ever participated in a debate yourself? Heck yes, I have. I'll show you one of my favorite debates of all time. So I've had like 3 or 4 when we first started this channel and before my department learned about it. I used to do like here and there, I would do debates, but I want to show you one of my favorites, which is in person. And I did enjoy the ones that were on this channel, but one of my favorites that was in person was with August. Let me see if the word August. This is my favorite of all time, because this was like 7 years ago now. So we released it in 2020, and I'm going to throw it in the live chat. But I want to let you know that this debate, I did this back in, what was it, March 26th of 2014. This was an in-person debate I did, if you want to see it. So really fun if you would get a kick out of that. I'll tag you in the link for that, Crimson Air. And that was my favorite of all time. But there are other ones on the channel, if you search. They're really old, but there are like 3 or 4 different people that we debated where most of them stayed on topic. But this one that I just linked is like my favorite, not only because August is a friend that I just really appreciate August, and then also though that it was a monster crowd that night. So I think the one that I just shared, yeah, we had an audience of like, it was a good size. It was like 500 to 600 people live. So that was a fun one. And Jack R. Prime says, how much do you deadlift, James? I don't deadlift anymore, but back in the day when I used to take it seriously, back when I played college football and I really, went at it hard. Although I don't think my deadlift was that impressive. I think it was good for like compared to where I am now, but compared to like college football players, I think it was like 640, if I remember right, was where I maybe maxed. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. And I don't think I wore a belt, no joke. So yeah, they wouldn't let us wear a belt. They said it was they wanted our core to be strengthened, and so yeah, everything we did. But anyway, I do love lifting weights still. I do it for fun. It's really fun. And anyway, I was just reading some of the crazy stuff in chat. But Gay Nomadic, thanks for coming by, as well as, and Haxed, thanks for your kind words, said thanks for the debate and all your hard work. Thank you, and Haxed, seriously, that means a lot. And then, did I see, yeah, Marshall and Mr. P, thanks for dropping in. Cloud of Time, we're glad you're here. And Ionian Garden, thank you for coming by. And then, give me a second, I'm catching up with chat. And then, but yeah, I love to exercise because it's great for stress. That's one nice thing. And then, I mean, that's frankly, and then I just enjoy getting out of the office. I'm in this office an obscenely long amount of time. Honestly, like all day, every day this is where I hang out. And then I get out of the building and go work out. And then Something from Nothing, thanks for coming by, as well as, ooh, Dr. James Tour versus Professor Dave. That would be juicy. And then Pancake of Destiny. How do you eat your pancakes? I never eat them anymore. I haven't had pancakes for a long time. It's honestly, I'm not joking, it's probably been like 6 years. Michael Lyon, thanks for coming by. Says, what do you teach? This last spring, I taught general psychology. And then last summer, I got to teach leadership, which was really fun. I enjoyed it. And that was what I want to teach again this summer. But like I said, it was like all the slots were filled. But that's all right. Like I said, this is something I just love to do. And so thanks, H. Jasper. He says, wish you fun. Take the good spirit with you, James. Also, don't neglect the weirdos. They need education as well. Thank you for your kind words. And I am the weirdest of them all. And then the Cinegeek says, don't lie, James. Don't lie. You know you are biased. For we're all biased towards the one noble truth. The moon is a hologram, flat and made of cheese, and the aliens live there. Well, I don't know about that, but I will admit, and I always ask, I always say, hey, folks, keep me accountable that I do have biases, and it's not something. So I think that sometimes people are like, they're like, oh, I don't have any biases. No, I don't. Like, I'm neutral, and I'm like, everybody has confirmation bias. So like, that's one thing. And then there are other types of biases that we all have as humans. But long story short, the person who says that they don't have a bias is the person who's probably most susceptible to succumbing to bias, because it's like, well, if you're not admitting that there's a potential bias there to protect against, how are you going to protect it? Because you don't think you have it at all. So that's something I want to admit, is that, hey, I got to be careful in terms of watching my biases. I know you were joking, Cinegeek, but Slang, good to see you. Jay Aceto, thanks for dropping in. And then Marshall, that's funny, Marshall. I appreciate your sense of humor, as well as Sandy Pigeon says you need some SWAT mock t-shirts. I don't know what that is, but yes, Topher Birth, if you have any questions or thoughts, let me just tag me with that modern day debate in chat. I do try to keep an eye on the chat, especially like after the debate. It's easy for me. Once the Q&A, I don't know if you guys noticed, like once the Q&A starts, it's really hard for me to keep an eye on the chat. So that's why sometimes if you ask a question, and sometimes I may be slow to get to it, pardon that. That's why. But also, Mark Thompson, good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Says, just got here. Did the Noah's Ark debate happen tonight, or did this one replace it? This one had to replace it. We are hoping to do the Noah's Ark debate later this month, as that one just didn't happen to work out tonight. But we're excited to hopefully host it in the future. And then Toverbirth says, are there instructions somewhere on how noob debaters can get on your show? Been considering getting into it for a while. Yes. Namely, we usually ask everybody to, one, use their camera. That's important. And we let it slide tonight because Neph has been coming on the channel ever since we were little. And Neph helped us grow when we had like, I don't know, 150 subscribers. And I reached out to Neph, and Neph had which to us at that time he had a whopping 6,000 something, and we were like, hey, would you be up for coming on? And he was like, sure, James. I can't do it NephilimFree. can't do a NephilimFree impression. He doesn't sound like that, but he's like, yes, of course I will. And basically that's why we grandfathered him in. So Neph doesn't have to use a camera, but we do really push for it now, unless this connection is getting weak, in which case we'll let him turn it off. But Apricot Sloth says 640 scientifically classified as superhuman. That's funny. Thank you for your kind words. It's not true, but appreciate your kind words. And then also, but yeah, so thanks for your kind words. Sideshow Nav says, congrats on at reaching the goal. Thank you. He says, but does this mean no car wash? Well, no car wash from me. I mean, maybe Tom Jump will wash your car. I don't know. I mean, he likes doing that stuff just for kicks. Beta! Thanks for coming by, Riley. I was talking about not Tom being a beta, but I said beta because Riley said it. Bill Wool, good to see you, says, James, any debate change your mind about any topic? I've changed my mind about arguments for positions, but I haven't changed. I don't know if I've changed like on a full position. But I've certainly changed my mind on like arguments. And so it's all about, for me, like I think of it as like probability. So like depending on how much you weight all of the different arguments for and against a position, you kind of put it all into one big pot and stir it together, and that gives you like your overall probability in terms of like what you think. And so you can say my probability has been swayed, but I haven't like you couldn't say that it was like, oh, James went from being like a globe earther to being a flat earther, or a flat earther to globe earther, or something like that. But Pancake of Destiny says, just kidding. Thank you, Pancake of Destiny. That's right, you like pancakes. And Heat Shield says, James almost said beta because he's used to it. I do. I'm really used to it. I can't get it out of my mind. And Brooke Chavez says, I'm excited for tomorrow. I am so excited. You guys, if you haven't already, I've got to tell you folks, this debate tomorrow, it's going to be unreal. I am really excited about it. We are thrilled to have our guests come onto the show. And so I'm going to link tomorrow's debate in the chat. And I'm telling you folks, this is going to be epic. Please do be sure to hit that thumbs up on tomorrow's debate if you haven't already. I just threw that into the chat. And so I'm going to put it there now. Tomorrow's debate, and then colon and then the link. There it is. Okay. Folks, it's going to be epic. You do not want to miss it tomorrow night. It's live for the public. So remember last time we kind of were like, we go back and forth. We're like, well, should we do it so that it's like live to the public, or should we do it where you have to throw in a minimum amount for the crowd fund? And so, long story short, our goal is we're like, hey, this time we're going to give it a shot and see what it's like. We're going to let the kind of like the public view it. And so next time we might go back to it where we say like, hey, everybody, if you throw in $3, you get to watch it. And so we're excited about it, though. Thank you for your support of the crowd fund. And Reservoir of Gore says, congrats on meeting your target, James. Your euphoria is almost post yeah, in nature, fuzzy, happy, and meanderingly goofy. Well done, sir. Thank you for your kind words. And I am, nobody's more meanderingly goofy than me. I am excited, you guys. We have high hopes for the future. And so, yeah, tomorrow's is going to be a lot of fun. We are really excited about it. And it's at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So, folks, what are you doing tomorrow night? That's what I got to ask right now. What are you doing tomorrow night? Do you have plans? Think to yourself, like, what am I doing tomorrow night? It's a Saturday night. Well, if you don't have plans already, you have a party to go to, and it's going to be this debate between Dr. Kenny Rhodes and Matt Dillahunty. We are excited for it, as we really do. We're honestly, I'm thrilled to have these guys, and we really do appreciate these guys. And so thank you guys again just for all of your support. And yeah, but tell me in chat, what's on your mind? You guys have thoughts? If you guys have things where you're like, hey, maybe the channel could be improved this way, like, let me know. Like, that's cool. If you're like, hey, James, like, if you ever like considered this, like, it doesn't hurt to say it, because like worst case scenario is like, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's not for us yet, you know. And sometimes though, I've got to be honest, no joke, a lot of the best ideas for this channel, it's like people just suggest, they're like, hey, like, it's a great idea, you should do this. And so I want to say thank you for that, you guys. It is a community effort. Eric Nelson says, dinner with mom and dad. Good for you. I'm glad you are. Bob Sadler says, watching a debate and getting drunk. We hope that it's drunk off of joy and enthusiasm and excitedness for the debate, as it's going to be awesome. And Alan H says, prepare to watch a debate. Yes, it is fun, you guys. I'm pumped for it. Cloud of Time says, working. And then, is it pronounced Zleph? Let me know. Is it XLEPH? Is it how it's pronounced? But thank you so much for coming by. It says, good talk, everybody. Got to go. Take care, friend. And then Pancake of Destiny says, I wanted to go to a party, but I will watch this debate. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we are glad you're going to be at the debate. And then Sandy Pigeon says, James, I meant mock t-shirts. Sorry. Oh, I get it. Mock t-shirts. I still don't know what that is. But and Hack says, more jelly wrestling, James. I don't know, man. You got to ask Tom Jump if he's going to do it again. But I want to say thank you guys. Let me know. I'm going to share quick about the upcoming debates, and then I've got to run. And yeah, so thank you guys. Seriously, I am really excited about the future. And Zleph, thanks for letting me know how it's. Oh, okay, Zleph. So with a Z. And then Jeremy Love says, James, I want to debate Son is God. That's juicy and interesting. I'm maybe open to it. It depends on what you mean. But Bruce Wayne says, let the mods debate and chat again. I don't see why it would be toxic as long as they're respectful. Thanks for letting me know that, Bruce Wayne. I want to be clear, though, that the actual reason that we asked mods not to debate or state their positions in chat is not because we thought it was toxic for them to do so. It's because we want to have like the utmost of neutrality at the channel, and the moderators being representatives were like, hey, we want to ask the moderators to do that too. By the way, want to let you know, and this has nothing to do with your chat, like this isn't like punitive or anything. We next week are going to do something where basically we are going to give an alert to all of the moderators, and we are going to say, hey, heads up that we are going to do a purging of all the people with a wrench. We're going to take everybody off the moderator list unless you let us know that you want to remain a moderator after you look at a list of like moderator responsibilities, because we really appreciate Bob has done a lot of work. Like, I'm not joking. Like, Bob sent me documents on Google, like writing this stuff out. Like Sideshow Bob has put in a ton of extra work, and we just appreciate it. And so long story short, we want to ask if you'd be willing to defer to Sideshow Bob, trust that he's doing his best to be as neutral as possible. And there are moderator meetings, for example, during the debate. And so, yeah, long story short, we just want to be sure that all of the moderators are on the same page, because that's like, we have a lot of my moderators coming back, and we have so many moderators. Some of them like come into the channel like every 10 months and they're like, hey, and we're like, oh yeah, we got some new rules, and they're like, what, I can't debate? And it's like, sorry, you can't, we changed that rule. And so Apricot Sloth says he thinks that evolutionists think that since the sun is necessary for life, it must be God. He clarified that like an hour ago. Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't say that. You're saying that. Oh, you're saying that Jeremy Love said that, I think. Okay. But yeah. So yeah, we are we really we want to strive for like the absolute radical neutrality and tolerance. And so thank you guys. I'm going to go. I want to say thank you for everything. I love you guys. Seriously, we're excited about the future. And then Bob, what did I miss? Marshall says, tell it to James. Long sleeve t-shirts. Got to go. Great job tonight. Congrats. Thanks, Sandy Pigeon, for that kind words. I get it. Okay, long sleeve t-shirts. Now it makes sense. That's a cool idea. And what was the other one? Bob Sadler, where's your comment? Did you have something for me? Said it would certainly be there, Marshall. Be there for what? For the mod meetings? I don't know. Let me know. But we want to say thank you. And yes, we do want to say that for both guests tomorrow, for both Dr. Kenny Rhodes and Matt, we want to ask if if you'd all be your regular friendly selves, as basically we want to appreciate the debaters and attack the arguments instead of the debaters. And so friendly reminder for that tomorrow. And so thank you guys for everything. We love you guys. Look at that meter on the far right of the screen. We did it, folks. We were excited. This is like, I'm telling you, you might be like, oh, that was like one cool thing. But all of the experience that we have with these crowdfunding efforts and all the big main events that we're putting on, because it's going to be an epic one. And then the last one was definitely an epic one. And then, we're going to keep doing it. And like I said, we want to have it so that people can vote for the next one. We want these to keep getting bigger and badder and more epic. And so thank you guys, though. We appreciate you. And then want to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm tired. Oh, very embarrassing. So thank you guys for all of your support. I'm excited. Look at that meter. Thank you so much for all of your support and your love. And if you want to throw into the crowdfund, you can still, as we're pumped. You guys, that's still open for roughly 7 hours. I think now it's like 4 hours. But thanks, everybody. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow night. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah. I'm not dying.
One last thing, my dear friends. Want to say huge thanks to the moderators, and also thank you to those such as Larry Letts, Platium, and others who have done a great job in the Discord. If you didn't know that Modern Day Debate has a Discord, I'm going to throw that into the old chat. And so want to let you know about that as, where is this? There it is. But yes, we have a Discord as well, and that is a way that you might be able to get some debate experience. As sometimes people ask, they're like, hey, can I come and debate? And we're like, hey, we're willing to debate. We're willing to host virtually anything. We are very much about like free, like people having their own free chance. Like we want to give everybody a fair shot to make their case. We're not, frankly, that's the, you can probably see like we're generally not for the deplatforming stuff. And so want to let you know, if you are like, hey, I want to come on Modern Day Debate, one way to kind of get on here potentially is if you go to the Discord. That's a place you might be able to get experience. And so, oh, I didn't know Platium resigned. So, well, we wish Platium well, and Platium has done a superb job in terms of building the Discord. And so that Discord is in the live chat. Larry Letts has put in a lot of work as well as MathPig. And so, folks, encourage you to join that if you are pleased by that. I'm frankly still learning how to do that. It's hard for me to master every platform or even to learn every new platform, but want to say thanks everybody for all of your support. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care, everybody.